Hey guys, welcome back to Musings of Maveri, where I'm your host Maveri, and today we're going to be looking at Bunny Girl Senpai, episode 12. So, we are currently in Kaede's arc right now. She's going to be the main focus of these few episodes. Last episode, we find out that she has finally gotten out of her shell. She's working up the courage to leave the house, and that was a damn good episode, by the way. Like, seriously, that was my favorite episode of this anime so far, and maybe even my favorite episode of this season, although I'm not still 100% convinced of that. But in any case, that was so good, especially the scene where she stepped out of the door for the first time. Like, so good, so epic. And I've already talked a lot about it. I've gushed on it in my last episode's review. So if you guys want to know what I thought about that, go back and watch that one. But anyways, so she managed to get out of the house. She managed to start going to some nearby places to play, and now they are at the seaside, where we find out that hey, she has lost her memories now. So we left on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I'm assuming that we're going to figure out what's going to happen, what happened to her memories and whatnot within this episode. And speaking of which, this is the penultimate episode now. This anime has 13 episodes for this season, and as far as I know, it adapts the first 5 volumes of the light novels. And so probably we're not going to be able to get a conclusion to, for instance, Shoko, um, since there's not enough time. But as far as I know, there's going to be a movie coming out next year, 2019, where they will adapt the 6th and 7th volumes of the light novels. So there's a lot more story to it that's already planned, right? And so far, this anime has been receiving, like, seriously, great reception. A lot of people are already calling it the anime of the year. Uh, whether you agree or not, this is a pretty good and unexpected anime. So, in any case, 2 episodes left. Let's see if it's going to all focus on Kaede or we're going to get something else. And that would depend on this episode. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so we are beginning in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. 2 years ago. Okay, so this is when she first lost her memories. Nah, I'll see you guys after the opening. And back. Dissociative disorder? Oh, is this the first time his mom came out? Hmm. Extreme stress mental trauma.
確か SNS のコミュニティに悪口を書かれたのが原因で思春期症候群になったのよね。
そうです。それで楓は苦しんで、辛くて押しつぶされそうな状態から抜け出すために記憶の一部を自ら解放したんです。
Well, that's kind of extreme.
それが帰り。
記憶をなくしてしまった楓にどう接したらいいのか、最初は戸惑ってばかりでした。楓、本持ってきたぞ。新刊が出るのを楽しみにしてたやつ。ほら。
ありがとうございます。楓さんはこの本が好きなんですか？
So even her personality changed?
箸を持つ手が違う。ご飯とおかずの食べる順番が違う。
Yeah, completely changed.
ボタンを上から止める。歩き方が違う。楓とは違う。違う。何もかもが違う。ただいま。
おかえりなさい。
おう。母さん、楓がまた楓の体にあざが。
ああ、そう。
Okay. So her mom also kind of had some sort of mental illness herself. That would make much more sense as to why. Whoa. That would make much more sense as to why she also, or both his parents left him. And then Shoko?
知ってますか？人の目の高さから見える水平線までの距離は約 4km なんですよ。
I wonder if that phrase is going to be of importance in the future. The 4 kilometers part. Because they've been repeating that for at least 3 times now.
また妹さんのこと考えてたんですか？
翔子さんのことを考えてました。
なるほど、エッチなことですね。
違いますよ。どうして翔子さんは信じてくれるのかと思って。楓の傷とかあざとか思春期症候群のこととかいくら話しても誰もまともに。
So they already knew it was called puberty syndrome at that time?
見える世界は人の数だけ存在しているんですよ。きっと私が見ている水平線よりも作田くんが見ている水平線の方が遠いように。
Because he's taller?
気持ちいいって思う人もいれば、肌や髪がベトつくから好きじゃないっていう人もいるんです。こうして出会えたのも何かの縁です。
I'm both, by the way.
素敵なアドバイスをしてあげます。
普通自分で素敵って言います？
私の人生にも決して大きな夢や希望はありませんでした。それでも私は自分の人生に意味を見つけられました。私はね、作田くん、人生って優しくなるためにあるんだと思っています。
優しくなるため。
昨日の私よりも今日の私がちょっとだけ優しい人間であればいいなと思いながら生きています。
That's a nice outlook to have.
あのさ、翔子さん。
何ですか？
僕も翔子さんのように生きてもいいかな。
当たり前じゃないですか。人に理解されない苦しみを知った作田くんならきっと誰よりも優しくなれます。絶対に誰かの支えになってあげられます。
僕が知らない価値観だった。退院したその日、僕は一冊のノートとペンを買って帰った。
これを？
昨日先生が言ってたんだ。何でもいいからその日あったこと、思ったことを自分の言葉で書いてみるといいって。
はい。
まずは名前だな。
わかりました。
待った。
はい。
名前なんだけどさ。
大丈夫ですよ。きちんと書けます。お花の花に楓の木の楓で楓ですよね。
ひらがなで楓にしよう。
ひらがな？
今ここにいるのは今の楓だから。今までごめんな。
お兄ちゃんだけです。楓のことを分かっているのは。
So yeah, they're trying to make her into something that she was, but she isn't right now. I guess that's what they're trying to say.
父さんも母さんのことは。
ああ、楓、ゆっくりでいいんだぞ。無理はしなくていい。父さんも母さんも待ってるから。
楓はみんなの目が怖いです。みんな楓さんを見てるんです。
もちろん僕だって楓の記憶が戻ってほしい。楓に戻ってきてほしい。でもその場合、今の楓はどうなるんだろう。
Mm.
これが楓の話の全部です。今まで黙っててごめん。
いいわよ。楓ちゃんのためでしょ。
そうなんですけどね。なんかみんなと少しずつ仲良くなっていく楓を見てると言い出せなかったんです。この
かってる。別に怒ってないから。でも、もう少し早く言ってほしかった。
怒ってるじゃないですか。おはよう、楓。
おはようございます、お兄ちゃん。楓はもうダメかもしれません。全身が痛いんです。
What?
昨日いっぱい遊んだから筋肉痛だろう。熱はないな。
What is with that?
金沢ロケ。また舞さんに会えなくなるのか。
あさってまでは都内のスタジオで撮影だから、家には帰ってくるわよ。何かあったら連絡して。
何もなくても電話します。
今のは楓ちゃんにって意味。
ただいまー。楓、ただいまー。何してんだ？おとなしく寝てろって。
昨日はせっかく海まで行けたので、楓はこのいい流れを筋肉痛に邪魔されたくないんです。
Muscle cramps.
外に出たいと思います。
マジか。
マジです。
しかも制服デビューか。
制服デビューです。
プリン買ってきたぞ。
話をそらさないでください。
大丈夫だよ。焦らなくても外は逃げないって。
楓は大丈夫ですか？
大丈夫だ。
でも昨日海で会った女の子を楓は知りません。楓さんの知り合いなんですよね。
楓が知りたければどういう子か教える。
楓は楓さんを知ってる人が苦手です。苦手ですけど、知らないのも怖いです。
あの子は加野琴美さん。幼稚園に通う前からの知り合い。前は同じマンションの上の階に住んでたんだ。楓とはちっちゃい頃からよく一緒に遊んでた。昨日はこれを読み返そうと思って海に来たらしい。楓に借りてた本だそうだ。
なんでしょう。見てもいいですか？
ああ。
友達。
コミちゃん。
楓、今。楓！楓！
正直なところ、楓さんの意識が戻るまではっきりしたことは言えません。
So,
ですが、目が覚めた時には記憶に何らかの変化が生じる可能性があります。それはどういう？
like, which Kaede is going to be the one that wakes up?
ま、楓は姫様ってからでもないけどな。楓？
It's now like,
ここ？
倒れて救急車で運ばれたんだよ。
お兄ちゃんが楓を着替えさせたんですか？
違うから安心しろ。看護師さんと舞さん、豊浜にも手伝ってもらった。
そこはお兄ちゃんでもいいんです。
楓なんだよな。
楓は楓ですよ。
楓の意識が戻りました。
I guess this kind of makes sense also why Kaede has sort of like a
今回
brother complex, right? Because to her, this is just a kind guy,
今度は今の楓の記憶が消えてしまう可能性があるって。
not really her brother.
お父さん来てたんですか？
ああ、楓のこと心配してた。なあ楓、今一番何がしたい？
プリンが食べたいです。
退院祝い的なやつだ。もっと大きなことでいいんだぞ。
大きなプリンが食べたいです。
まあそれは食べるとして、例えばパンダを見に行くとかそういう感じの。
パンダは2番です。
一番は？
1番は学校に行きたいです。
楓が学校に行きたいって言ってる。
そうか。
僕はその願いを叶えてあげたい。
わかった。中学校には明日のうちに事情を話しておく。
It's been 2 years, so everybody that she knows should have graduated from mid school already.
そうか。あとな、落ち着いてからでいいんだが、
何？
お前がお付き合いしている彼女を紹介しなさい。
ああ、 落ち着いたり。金沢ロケ2週間の予定でしたっけ？
私に会えなくて寂しいと思うけど、ちゃんと毎晩電話してあげるから。
毎晩電話の前で待機しています。
真面目に勉強でもしてなさい。サクタはさ、怖くないわけ？楓ちゃんのこと考えると。
んなもん怖いに決まってるだろう。今もちびりそう。
真面目に聞いてんの。
でも妹の前で兄が漏らすわけにはいかないだろう。小も大も弱音も。僕はお兄ちゃんだからな。どうにかできることなら何とかしたいけどな。どうにもできないんだよ。
ごめん。もう私バカだ。どうにもできないからお姉ちゃん何も言わなかったのに。本当にごめん。
Oh, that's okay.
スクールカウンセラーの友部です。最初は通学路を少しだけ歩いてみるところからでもいいんです。学校もいきなり教室じゃなくて保健室からでも。保健室でも学校に行けたことになりますか？それはもちろん。でもみんなとは違いますよ。そうですね。だけど同じように見えて、実はみんな違っているんですよ。例えば背の高い子や低い子もいますよね。走るのが得意な子もいれば苦手な子もいます。人にはそれぞれのペースがあるんです。だから楓さんが一生懸命やった結果なら、それが学校に行けたということでいいんです。じゃあ保健室でも丸をつけてみてもいいですか？丸？これです。いいと思います。では楓は絶対に学校へ行きたいと思います。
Something is definitely going to happen to her at school.
そしたらあの子なんて言ったと思う？
別に楓のことを笑ってるわけじゃないって。
本当ですか？
そんな簡単に笑いを取れると思ったら大間違いだ。
笑いの道は険しいんですね。
今日は十分頑張ったし、帰ってプリンでも食べる子。
楓は今日こそ学校まで行く覚悟です。頑張ります。
そんなに焦らなくてもいいんだぞ。
楓は焦ってませんよ。
友部さんもゆっくりでいいって言ってたろ。楓？
それじゃダメなんです。
ダメって。楓、今日は練習をお休みにしような。楓！楓！無理しなくていいんだって。
しないとダメなんです。楓にはゆっくりしてる時間がないんですよ。
I wonder what is she thinking right now? Oh, she wants to go to school before possibly her existence is erased, I think.
どうしてダメなんですか？なんで楓は学校に行きたいのに動いてくれないんですか？
楓。
楓は帰りません。帰りません。学校に行けるようになるまで練習します。練習します。
わかった。僕が楓を学校に行けるようにしてやる。
本当ですか？
本当だ。だけど練習の再開はちょっと休憩してからだ。
休憩ですか？
ああ、とっておきの場所でな。
人がいっぱいいます。
この程度でひるんでたら学校には行けないぞ。
はい、頑張ります。お兄ちゃん、とっておきの場所まだですか？
心配するな、すぐ着く。
See?
お兄ちゃん、まだですか？
もうすぐだ。
Oh, the zoo, I guess. Yep.
だからとっておきの場所だって言ったろ。
You go see the pandas?
どうぞごゆっくり。洗ってないナスの匂いがします。
するなあ、獣臭いな。
パンダ、お兄ちゃん、パンダですよ。パンダがいるんですよ。
おお、
パンダです。パンダが歩いてます。
歩いてるな。
あっちのパンダは食べてます。
食べてるな。
パンダ大きいです。
さすがジャイアント。
こっち見ましたよ。パンダまた食べ始めました。
笹は栄養がないから一日の大半を食事に使わないとパンダは生きていけないんだって前にテレビでやってたな。
パンダも大変ですね。
みんな頑張って生きてるんだな。
Pandas are a really weird creature when you think about it. You know, with all the evolutionary traits that you can have, you get this bear that can only survive by eating bamboo shoots. Like, how does that make sense?
楓はやっぱりパンダ派です。パンダとお別れは寂しいです。
また来ればいいんだよ。
でも楓は
これ年間パスポート、楓の分。これがあれば毎日だってパンダに会えるぞ。
すごいです。お兄ちゃんはやっぱりお兄ちゃんです。楓はまたここに来てもいいんですね。
そんなの当たり前だろう。せっかく年間パス買ったんだし、何度も来ないともったいないからな。
何度も来て楓は元を取りたいと思います。
So I guess the best ending for her would be to regain her memories, but still keep her memories of right now. But then again, I don't think it can work that way.
楓の買ったプリンなので
Because her current personality is her current personality. Once she regains her memories, her personality would change again.
あっちですよね。
こっちに近道があるんだよ。
近道なんて知りませんでした。
楓はまだこの辺りの素人だからな。
お兄ちゃんは上級者なんですか？
もはやプロと言っていい。
すごいです。
Hmm?
お兄ちゃん、ここ学校ですよ。
もう夜だから静かにな。
ダメですよ、お兄ちゃん。
俺、
でも
ちょっと覗くだけだって。
ちょっとだけですよ。
楓の初登校だな。ここ3年1組だ。
ここが楓の教室なんですか？
I may have to look up her exact age because
今度はお昼の学校に来たいです。
夜の学校を制覇した楓なら余裕だろ。
今日でノートに書いた目標の全部に丸がついて
15 years old is third grade of high school. I mean, mid school.
コンプリート
But
じゃあお祝いし
2 years had passed, so
でも学校はまだ三角にしておきます。
丸でもいいんじゃないか。
それはお昼の学校に行ってからです。
そっか。
なんだかできる気がしてきました。楓、明日はお昼の学校に行けるような気がします。
そうだな。
明日が楽しみです。明日が待ち遠しいです。
mhm.
楓、朝だぞ。まだ寝てるのか。
おはよう、お兄ちゃん。あれ、お兄ちゃんだよね。
Oh,
足がパンパン。
昨日動物園ではしゃいだからな。
動物園？
oh,
出ないよ。お兄ちゃんどうしたの？
oh.
お前、
あれ、私の部屋こんなだっけ？
お前。楓、なのか。
当たり前だよ。もうお兄ちゃん何言ってんの？語れない、眠れない、
Wow. Wow. And that was episode 12 of Bunny Girl Senpai. Like I said at the end of the episode, wow. Just wow. They did it again, and they released another episode that is... personally, I still feel like the emotional impact of episode 11 was better for me, but this one is also very up there. Like, uh, I really enjoyed this episode. We got a lot of info, we got a lot of backstory, and the scenes inside were very compelling as well. So, let's just get right into the crux of the situation, right? So, it is now finally known that Kaede has dissociative disorder, right? So basically what it means is that due to some past stress or trauma, you get this disorder where you essentially forget some of your past memories. And not only does she have dissociative disorder, it's actually kind of bordering on dissociative identity disorder, right? One where you can get multiple identities or personalities. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You know, originally when I was looking at that part at the very beginning, right? Um, the thing that kept popping up in my mind was something that I talked about in my previous reviews in regards to this series, and that is, you know, if you boil it down, this series is really taking a lot of minuscule things, I guess you could say, minor things that happen during your teenage life, during your puberty, and then fully exaggerating them, right? So, you know, from the past where you have maybe somebody who's just a latecomer to a school, or a transfer student, or coming into the big city from a rural area, you know, all these kinds of these scenarios, like they might have an impact on your social life when you were a teenager at that time, right? But it's typically very exaggerated. It's something that once you grow up, you would say, ah, that's nothing at all. Why did I make such a big deal out of it, right? So it's the same in this case. Uh, yeah, she was cyberbullied. Of course, not that I'm condoning cyberbullying or bullying in general, right? It's just that, you know, it doesn't seem like she was abused that much. Like, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is worse things have happened to people before, and getting a huge mental illness just because of some words on the internet, like I said, it's exaggerating the situation, right? But again, that's probably not the important part about this. The important part is how they got into these kinds of situations, and how they show these kinds of symptoms of puberty syndrome is not important at all. Like, it's exaggerated. We can just say it. We can just leave it at that, right? So what is compelling is how the characters deal with this situation. So in this case, the biggest conflict is that Kaede is essentially a different person because of this dissociative disorder, right? So at first I was like, well, I don't quite get what is the big deal here, and then finally, the scene where Sakura handed Kaede the notebook and told her to write her name in a different way. That's when everything came together. So for any of you who don't quite get what that scene meant, so typically your names are written, well, not typically, but a lot of the times anyways, your names are written using kanji, which are the, like, Chinese characters, or Japanese words borrowed from Chinese characters, right? So in Kaede's case, when she was her past self, she wrote her name using these kanji. However, here, Sakura told her to write her name using Hirakata. Hirakana? What's it called? Hiragana. Yeah, hiragana. Okay. Phew. Hiragana. So, which is a way of writing Japanese. The other way is katakana, but you know, that's not important right now. But basically, using hiragana to write her name is a way of differentiating between these two people, right? So the one who uses kanji is the original Kaede, and this one is a completely different Kaede. So her personality is different, what she likes is different, and her memories are, well, non-existent, right? So this in itself presents a huge problem because uh, even though to her she is a completely different self, everybody is looking at her and hoping that the former her can return. But really, this is in her mind, she's another person. Even though she doesn't have any memory, she's a person as well. She has feelings. So this is kind of like a situation where nobody wants you to be here, right? Everybody wants you to, if you know, realistically saying, it's like telling her to go die. And once this Kaede doesn't exist, the old Kaede would come back. So that's why this current Kaede has such enormous pressure on her, and also she is so afraid of people because she doesn't want to meet these kinds of expectations. Nobody wants to die, right? And to her, she feels like she is another person. So this is essentially the entire conflict and why she is unable to step out of her home and whatnot. And also the entire, I guess you could say, the main plot of currently Kaeda's arc. And that is, even though, of course, we want the old, or everybody else, and including Sakuda himself, probably wants the old Kaede back, there's this new Kaede here, and somebody who's Sakuda already spent 2 years with now, this new little sister, essentially a second sister to him. And he doesn't want Kaede, this current Kaede, to just disappear out of the blue, right? And this current Kaede, she's aware of the fact that she is still only a temporary person, so she wants to complete. If you think about it very in a realistic sense, her notebook is essentially some kind of uh, bucket list, right? It's kind of morbid, but that's essentially what it is. Before she disappears, before this current Kaede dies, there are a set of things that she wants to accomplish. She needs to accomplish because she's unsure how long she can stay here with her own existence. So that is why she is in such a hurry to complete all these different objectives, right? And again, I just want to quickly point out how much I loved the way that they portrayed Kaede. Everything including the animation, the voice acting, and whatnot. Again, another stellar performance from all the parties. Especially like the part where she was walking to school in her uniform and then breaking down and crying, like that part tugged my heart as well. Like that was so good, right? Um, so in any case, this is the current situation, and it also kind of makes sense why her parents, Sakura's and Kaede's parents, also turn out the way that they did. So in the past few episodes, they kept on portraying their parents sort of like heartless, that they essentially ran away from the situation because they were too afraid or shocked to face these kinds of supernatural happenings or whatnot. But essentially what happened was Kaede's and Sakura's mom, the mother, she got mental illness herself because of Kaede's situation. It actually kind of reminded me of was it Asuka's mom from Evangelion, or however you pronounce it in English, right? Ava. I'm just gonna call it Ava. Uh, so because of this, the mother also needed to have some time to herself, and the dad essentially split duties with Sakura. So Sakura takes care of the sister, while dad takes care of mom, right? So that makes sense, and it then everything clicks in to say, okay, so their parents are not that heartless or not cowards or anything. They just simply have their own problems to deal with, right? So I'm glad that we cleared that up as well. So finally, the ending scene. Um, Again, stellar ending scene, and personally, I think that this is one of those few times where I would say adapting it into an anime form might make it even better than what it was originally as a light novel. So I am a little biased in this respect, I do believe that most works are better in their either light novel or manga forms because, simply due to the fact that you can convey more information there, right? That it's the complete story that's conveyed within the light novel and the manga. And typically when it's adapted to an anime, lots of parts are cut out. And it's just a restriction of the of the medium, right? Because typically an anime series can't last for that long. They can't put that much content into it, so they have to cut something out. And some things aren't properly conveyed. So it's unfortunate, and there are very few animes that have a good adaptation from their um, light novel or manga form. It's very rare. But this, especially the ending scene, how they showed the original Kaede regaining her memories and this current Kaede disappearing. I feel like that this is one of those few situations where using an anime form would be much better and give a much bigger impact than it would from a light novel form, right? Because just by listening to the voice actor, how they voice the character, and also looking at their facial expressions, how they move and how they interact with other people, just by that you can clearly see that this is a different Kaede, right? And I think it's not as easily conveyed from the light novel. At least that would be my assumption. I haven't read the original light novel, but I would think that it works better in an anime form. And probably, yeah, even a manga probably wouldn't have this kind of impact because you're still reading the conversation, right? It's not like here you can really actually feel the difference in personality between the two Kaedes. So, like I said, stellar performance, stellar job by the voice actors and the animators and whatnot. So, what's going to happen? Well, here we see that the original Kaede came back, and the current Kaede was essentially disappeared, right? But obviously, they're not going to end it like this. So the original Kaede, or I mean, the current Kaede is still going to come back and finish what she has started, right? So I was thinking about this for a while on how exactly they can resolve the situation because this is not a case of, say for instance, Futaba, where she simply split into two exact copies of herself with the same personalities. So once they merge, they can maybe share the same memories again as a single person, right? They're not two distinct people. But here, Kaede is two distinct people, so it's impossible for them to merge and then uh, still say that they are two distinct people, right? Because they're too different from each other. They feel different. Even if the memories of the current Kaede merges with the memories of the past Kaede, or vice versa, you're still. It's essentially going to be whichever personality wins alongside the memories, right? So you can never get either Kaede back. Somebody has to disappear if that is the way that they do it. So that leads me to believe that that's not going to be how they do it, and instead they're going to resolve the situation by simply giving Kaede multiple personalities, right? So essentially, there's two Kaedes always living inside uh, Kaede's body, and then they can switch personalities. So that would be like switching people at will. Um, at least that's how I think they can resolve this situation without it turning into a tearjerker. I don't believe that they're going to. I mean, it's still possible, right? Because so far, this anime or this series has handled all sorts of situations very maturely. So it's still possible to give a sad but conclusive ending to Kaede's arc, where essentially one of them has to disappear, right? They have to bid their farewell and go away. In essence, die, really. Because once it's an interesting thought, right? Once your consciousness leaves you, can you really be called alive, or are you essentially dead, right? Because you have no conscience anymore. So in this case, once someone's conscience takes over, then the other conscience is essentially dead. So I don't think they're going to go this route, which would be very sad because Even though I'm sure most of us right now know the current Kaede and all love the current Kaede, the past Kaede has every right to live as well, right? And uh, I mean, she herself was a tragic character, being bullied to the point where she developed this kind of mental illness, right? So I don't think they're going to go the route of killing any one of the Kaides and simply resolving it by having them reside within the same body with multiple personalities. So anyways, that's my prediction for how they are going to resolve Kaide's situation. Phew. Okay, that was a that was a long talk. Hopefully, I made sense. Sometimes, especially when I'm talking this long and I'm doing it all in one take, sometimes I feel like maybe I kind of jumble my thoughts together. Um, but anyways, that's what I think and feel about this situation. So essentially, next episode is the last episode for this season, for this series, right? So they're going to essentially conclude Kaede's arc, and that would conclude this first season. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this anime season covers the first 5 volumes of the light novels. And then next year, in 2019, we're going to have a movie which covers the 6th and 7th volumes. And I believe currently there are a total of 9 volumes released. Don't quote me on that, but I seem to recall that it was 9 volumes released currently. And so probably we're not going to get a resolution to who exactly Shoko is anytime soon, right? And there might be even more girls coming in the future. I don't know, because if there's 4 more episodes, I assume that the author would need more content. I mean, they can't possibly talk about Shoko for 4 straight episodes, right? So, in any case, I don't think we're going to get anything conclusive regarding Shoko in the next episode. They're probably just going to wrap up Kaede's story, and that is that. But again, so far, I'm really liking Bunny Girl Senpai. It's definitely a very good anime. I mentioned this in the last episode as well. I wasn't exactly on the hype train. I know a lot of people on the internet keep on hyping this anime series up, saying it's overlooked because of its aesthetics. People might have thought it was more of a kind of moe bait, essentially, because of the whole bunny girl thing. But actually, it's a pretty well written story and a pretty mature story. Um, I wouldn't necessarily call it anime of the year, but definitely I can see why lots of people like it, and it definitely deserves huge kudos for the story, the setting, the maturity, the character relationships, the animators and the voice actors. They all did a brilliant job of putting this together. So, anyways, that's enough for now. I've talked way too long. That has been Bunny Girl Senpai episode 12. Let me know what you think below, if you have any thoughts, if you want to comment on this series. And if not, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.